Hi, friends. I knew I said I wasn't going to do this on a weekly basis, and I'm not going to. This is just a coincidence that this is a week later from my comeback podcast last week. But I was so excited to talk about this, and we're just going to hop right into it. I love being a father, being a dad, being a parent. It is the best thing. It is one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing. I absolutely love being a parent. For those of you who don't know, I have two boys. I have a almost 9-year old who will be 9 in a couple days. Technically my stepson, but I've been around since he was like 4 months old, and his other parent isn't really around. So, and he's been with me and his mom full time, basically forever. So he's my son. And then I have a 2-year old who was born on Christmas of 2023. And real quick, let's talk about my son's birth because I was so brave during that time. I'm only half kidding. My wife is a rock star. She's a superstar. She went through fucking hell both with the pregnancy and labor. But I feel like guys don't get the recognition they deserve during that time. So I'm gonna be conceited and talk more about myself. But real quick, we'll talk about my wife's pregnancy was a shit show. She was super sick in the beginning. A lot of scares, a lot of false alarms, but we were in and out of the hospital a lot, especially as time got closer. We were there like once a week, with scares and false alarms. But there was one scare where she was working in York, Pennsylvania. I was working, still am working in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and I forget exactly what happened, but something happened. I was told she was being taken to a hospital in York, PA. So I hopped in my car. I left work. I hopped in my car. I don't remember that drive. I just know that drive should have taken me about an hour and a half, an hour, 45 minutes. And I got there in like 30 to 45 minutes. I don't remember that drive. I blacked out during that drive. I was just so focused on getting there, hoping my wife was okay. I hated the fact that I was so far away. I was hoping the little guy inside of her was okay. Um, and luckily everything was okay. False alarm, scare, whatever. But there were a lot of times like that. And then labor. Let me just tell you. So so back up a little bit. So again, shout out to my wife because my son came a couple days after his due date. And I remember how fucking pissed when the due date came, 40 weeks hit, and he was not ready to come out. My wife was pissed, and I don't blame her. She went through hell. She didn't feel good. She was large and in charge. And look, it's going to be 40 weeks max. So the fact that 40 weeks comes and it's not time, I'd be fucking pissed too. Um, so anyway, 2 days later from his due date, it's Christmas. We're celebrating Christmas. We're having our 9-year old open his gifts. At the time, 7-year old. Am I doing that math right? 6-year old. Whatever. Don't fucking judge me. Um, we're having him open gifts, and she's in so much pain. I think she was clocked out. So it was really just me and him. She was on the sofa, like trying to seem entertained and into what was going on, but she was just in so much pain. So after he was done opening gifts, we sent him off with his grandmother. We went to the hospital. She went into labor. Ravens game was on, Ravens versus 49ers. Um, and I remember it was time for her to push, and I didn't know this. Fellas, I didn't know this. I thought, being the guy, I thought you just sit by her side and cheer her on, be supportive, be there for her, whatever. No. Um, so the nurse or whatever she was grabbed her right leg and told me to grab her left leg, and she showed me all the different positions we were going to hold her leg. I didn't know I was there to hold her leg. She was like, if you're not comfortable with this, if we can go grab somebody else. I'm like, no, no, I got this. Like, I'm a fucking pussy, but she's gone through hell. The least I can do is hold her leg. But I didn't know that. I didn't know, like, you get down there and you help position. Um, and whole time I'm holding her legs in my head. I'm looking this way where my wife's head is because I didn't want to look down there. I'm a pussy. I was scared. Um, but yeah, so that was crazy. Luckily, he came during halftime, so I didn't miss much of the game. Um, Again, I'm kind of half joking. Cutting the umbilical cords, weird. I fucked up the first time. They said to cut the cord. They showed me where to cut it. I went to cut it, and as I cut down, it kind of just slipped off the cord. The umbilical cord is like a super, super thick, fat piece of fat on a steak that's impossible to cut. So I fucked up the first time. I had to go back. I finally got it cut. That was a cool experience. I'm glad I could say I did that. Um, so anyway, that was how brave I was during her labor. Again, my wife's a rock star. I would never tell her that because it would go to her head. And if you're watching this, I didn't say that. Okay, so being a parent, a big thing I want to hit is I don't get how people have kids and they don't want to be a part of that kid's life. I do not understand that. That is literally half of you. That is a piece of you. I don't care if you had kids at a young age. I don't care if your kid was a surprise. You weren't planning on having them. I don't give a fuck. I don't understand how people have children and do not want anything to do with them. I see it a lot. I saw it growing up. I see it now. I have friends and people I've worked with who, unfortunately, are the ones kind of riding solo with their children. Unfortunately, they got stuck with deadbeat parents. And unfortunately, in these scenarios, it's not always just the dads, but in the scenarios I'm talking about and the ones I know, the deadbeats are always the dads. They don't want to be around. They don't want to help. They don't want the responsibility. If anything, if they are around, they want to be the fun parent, almost like a fun babysitter who just has them for a couple hours or maybe has them for like a day or overnight and they do all the fun things. No rules, no guidelines, no structure, just they're the fun parents. And it's crazy, man. Like that's not being a parent. I don't care what you say. You can post pictures of you and your kids all you want on social media. You can talk about how maybe the other parent's keeping the kid from you. Like it's crazy to me how out of their way deadbeats will go to make it seem like they're such a great parent when really they're just shitty. So again, I see that with friends with kids and people I've worked with that have kids. And then from my own experience, like I had a parent who was rarely ever around. And at the time growing up, I thought nothing of it. Like when I was young, I was spoiled. They bought me nice things. They took me on nice vacations. So when they would take me on a nice vacation or they would buy me a nice thing, I didn't care that I didn't see them for the next week, 2 weeks, month, year. I didn't care. I was being spoiled. I didn't care. I got to go on a nice vacation. I didn't care. And as I grew up, I'm like, whoa, this is really fucked up. Um, and I also didn't understand how people saw that a parent wasn't around for me and my siblings for majority of our childhood, um and like teenage years, and nobody said anything. So a crazy thing to me is like as I got older, as I realized how fucked up this is, I cut ties with that parent, not just because of how they weren't really around. Trust me, there was a lot of abuse and narcissism and so many other things I could talk about in another podcast, reasons as to why I cut ties with this parent. But right now we're just talking about being a parent. So it's crazy. Like nobody ever said anything when this parent wasn't around for me and my siblings. But when I finally was like, I don't deserve this, and I cut ties, I was the problem. Like that's crazy, man. Like, how are you gonna blame a kid for being like, I deserve better? Um, and then I see it with my stepson. Their other parent was never really around, and when they were around, he just kind of got thrown off with his grandparents. But again, I mean, both those scenarios too are like, they'll probably post pictures on social media and be like, "Oh, I love my kids. These are my kids. I'm taking my kids on vacation. I just bought my kid." That doesn't make you a good parent. I saw a TikTok recently of this guy filming his like 4-year old. They were like on a private jet and he's filming his child, and the child's on like a tablet and he has a Nintendo Switch. He has all these nice things and they're on a private jet. And he's like gonna show this to my kid in 15 years when he tries to tell me I was a bad parent. And I got triggered. That triggered me. That that triggered my fucking soul. Because just because you bought him these cool electronics, just because you got him sitting in a private jet, just because you might be taking him on a cool vacation, that doesn't mean you're a good fucking parent. If you abuse that child, if you treat that child like shit, if you talk down to that child, if you're not around for that child majority of the time, then yeah, when he grows up and realizes you're a shitty parent, you're a shitty parent. You can show him that video all you want. That doesn't make you a good fucking parent. That triggered me. Oh. Anyway, let me backtrack. Um, so yeah, I love being a parent, and with that being said, with parents not wanting to be, you don't even get to be called parents. With biological parents, I should say, not wanting to be around their children, not, I can't even imagine going a day without seeing or talking to one of my children. There are days my oldest child is a jerk, and I want absolutely nothing to do with the situation, so I might separate myself or they might be punished, whatever the fuck it is. At the end of the day, I would never even think, yeah, I could go a day, I could go a week, I could go a month, I could go a year not dealing with this, not talking to that child, not seeing that child, not even asking how that child's doing. At the end of the day, I don't care how fucking irritated I am, I don't care how stressed I am, I don't care how bad life is for me. I can't imagine not going a day without even checking on how my child is. I'm so happy that I'm in a home and I have a spouse, a fucking partner, a teammate raising these kids with me. I don't get how people don't want that. Um just baffles my fucking mind, and it's so common. And again, I'm not sure it's trying to like shit on, be like, yeah, like so many dads are deadbeats. It's not like there are deadbeat moms. I know that's a thing. I don't personally, I never experienced it personally. I never have seen it with anybody personally. It's always been the guys. It's always been the fathers, the semen donors, if you will, the sperm donors, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, back to what I was saying. Like, my oldest son could be the biggest dick that day. I could be having like the worst day, and he could be a fucking asshole to me. At no point at the end of the day would I sit and be like, "Damn, man, like I'm gonna go away for a week. I just need some time away from these kids." I would never fucking cross my mind. Um, and like I don't get, like, I know there's people who like miss out on like their kids like childhoods, and then they come back maybe during like teenage years because they think it's not as much responsibility. Yeah, maybe it's not responsibility, but let me just say, like, the last 2 years with my little one, luckily I got to be around for like all of his firsts. I was around for his first steps, his first words, him lifting his head up and turning his head. And I don't know, man, I just, when I look back at it now, if I missed any of that, I'd be fucking heartbroken, dude. And even if he wasn't old enough to remember me missing something, as his dad, I would look back and be like, wow, I missed that. I suck. I'm a shitty fucking parent. Um, I think a big goal is like, I look at it this way: I have a great parent and a not great parent. And that not great parent allows me to realize what a not great parent is, and don't be that. Don't act like that. I luckily have an amazing step parent who's been a step parent for like 15 plus years. And I think that was a big role in me coming in early on with my older son, my stepson, and being a step parent and loving a kid that isn't yours, loving them as if they are yours. Um, I don't know. I always feel like I'm fucking rambling, and I probably am. Moral of the story: I love being a parent. It is my favorite fucking thing. It is my favorite thing about myself. And maybe that's like not necessarily a good thing. Like, I should have something of my own, like a hobby or something that I love. And I do. You know, I love fishing. I love playing video games. I there are things I love, but none of that would ever come before being a dad. I absolutely fucking love it. It is the best thing ever. If you don't have kids, you should have kids. If you are thinking about having kids, have kids. Um, if you're a fucking piece of shit, don't have kids. They don't deserve that. Um, I think that's it, man. Let me just say, because I feel like there's so many scenarios with like deadbeats. I ha- I don't want to say I'd have respect, but it would be appreciated if people who are deadbeats at least admitted it. At least said, hey, I don't want to be a parent. Hey, I wasn't ready to be a parent. Hey, I outgrew being a parent. Whatever there is to say, I wish deadbeats would say that and be honest instead of, oh, their other parent doesn't let me see them. Oh, they don't talk to me because they're mad at me about something. This, that, whatever. Whenever somebody tells you, especially somebody with grown children, if somebody ever tells you their grown children doesn't talk to them, but it's the children's fault, 9 times out of 10 that's not true, especially if that person has multiple kids. If most of the kids, if not all of the kids, do not have a good relationship with them, it's probably the parents' fault. I think it's fair to say that might be a 10 out of 10 situation where it's the parents' fault. Uh but it is what it is. People are going to live their lives. Shame on them if you have kids and you're not a good parent. Um Being a stepdad and a dad is really the best fucking thing I could have ever had happen to me. Um so yeah, sorry for rambling. Shout out to all the good parents, the good moms, the good dads, step parents. Shout out to you guys. Yeah, all right. Don't expect these on a weekly basis. It's not fucking happening. But I am so very passionate about this. I love my boys. They are awesome. Um, so yeah, with that being said, stay beautiful, stay golden, whatever it is I say. Peace out, Girl Scouts.